So back on the floor, doing another reading of my book. And I forgot to actually do the dedication last time. And I think it's really important for you to know who I wrote this book for. It's for any reader who has found themselves adrift, neither knowing who they were, are, or will be, feeling only that something is amiss and not quite right. When you hear the call for something else and a yearning for otherness, be brave, follow your curiosities, pursue yourself, and find freedom. So I wanted to do the introduction today. I have found a few errors, so it looks like the book's going to go back to the typesetters. But fingers crossed that it'll be ready and printed and able to be purchased by December. Hashtag Christmas presents, anybody. So let's go. The introduction. My midlife crisis arrived ahead of schedule. Sigh. In my mid-30s, most people would not describe me as naive, but I was. Not about the world, but about myself. I had accumulated a plethora of ideas, concepts, and views, but constantly looked at others to find myself. I sought approval, validation, and the righteous opinions of others. But life was about to school me on the most important subject. Who am I? Life lessons began on a warm Sunday afternoon as my husband drove us to the lagoon. I sat in the back seat next to my son, staring out the window, watching the trees blitz by. The amorphous shapes and colors blending reminded me of my life. Our lives had morphed into one, but the color had leached out of it. Routine had taken over and dulled us into blurry shades of gray, and not the fun kind. 18 years together, and now we barely looked at each other. It was very clear we no longer liked one another. We had transitioned into the sphere of tolerance, with moments of passive aggressiveness punctuated by deep sighs of discontent. We just existed. I don't know when I stopped trying. Maybe we both did. We let life happen to us instead of choosing it. I had done everything right, or at least I thought so. I had followed the script, the checklist, marriage, motherhood, career, stability, but somewhere along the way, I had lost myself. I had become a role, not a person. And then there was him. Passion had come alive inside of me, stoked by desire through a very different man who was over 12,000 kilometers away. A man I had never touched had ignited fierceness in me. It had turned me wild, untamed, like a storm gathering force and feral, driven by instincts long suppressed. I craved freedom from the confines of my role, my expectations, and the version of me that no longer felt true. Buzz. The vibration in my lap brought me back to reality, a contrast too sharp to ignore. A text glowing on my phone against the suffocating silence of my marriage. The thinly veiled threats coming from the front seat versus the seductive messages staring at me. A sudden furious energy surged from deep within me, and words began to form in my head. Something inside me cracked open, fury, desire, grief, longing. I wanted meaning, to feel like I belonged to myself. I had no paper, no pen, no way to contain the words rushing forward. So instead of responding to either of them, my husband or my lover, I responded to myself. Allowed the feelings to pour out, raw and untamed, into sentences. A painting made of letters instead of colors took shape, completely unconstrained, as if they had been splashed against a canvas. It took all of 5 minutes to write my first poem. But in those 5 minutes, something shifted. I wasn't just writing, I was reclaiming myself. And since then, the words have come to me not by force, but by volition. My experiences, my muses, each one a mirror, a map, a reckoning, and with every poem I became a little more whole. These poems are not just words. They are fragments of transformation, from the deafening silence of loneliness to the quiet calm of aloneness, from seeking permission to choosing myself, from fear to love. And in the heat of this alchemy, I found something I never expected. Again, in the true form of social media, please like, subscribe, reshare, repost, remix, whatever it is that you want to do. But most importantly, as an artist, we write or paint or sculpt or perform because we want to share a feeling, to make people feel something. And I would love to know what you feel.